Hello everyone, today is 14th of April. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. Today we'll take a quote from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He says, "If you salute your duty, you need not salute anybody. But if you pollute your duty, you have to salute everybody." Now, guys, this particular quote pertains to the idea of conviction to one's duty. It has been provided that the person who has been truthful to his duty, to his dharma, doesn't owe a flattery to anyone, and that particular thing makes a person morally upright and ethical person. Guys, we can utilize this particular quote into the questions related to GS paper number 4. So that is all for today's GS folder, and now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail. Now, guys, taking up the first article, this article has been taken from the Hindu as well as the Indian Express newspaper, and it talks about the new expedited route of approval to the vaccines. Now, guys, it has been seen that first of all, ever increasing number of cases are being registered into the India. For example, into the past 24 hours, more than 1,80,000 cases have been there, and at the same time, the states have red flagged that they don't have the stock for the vaccine. So friends, keeping all these particular things into the mind, the National Expert Group onto the Vaccine Administration had provided that we will be expanding the basket of the vaccines that is available in India. Right now, there are two vaccines that are being administered, that is the Serum Institute's Covishield and the Bharat Biotech's Covaxin. And a third vaccine, that is the Sputnik 5 by the Russia, had also been provided the emergency use authorization by the subject expert committee, and the DCGI is also about to give a final authorization onto that. Now, guys, apart from these three, it has been provided that the fast track approval will be provided to all the vaccines which have been given the emergency use authorization by any other country's regulators or who have been put into the WHO's list. Now, guys, for example, into the USA, there is the Food and Drug Administration. Then there is the European Medicine Agencies into the Europe. Then into the UK, there is the Medicine and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency. Then, guys, into the similar way, in other countries, there are also the regulator. So it has been provided that if any regulator in any country has given the authorization to any vaccine, then that vaccine can also be given the fast track approval into the India. Now, let's see that how this particular thing is different from the past. So, guys, earlier in India, we are having the New Drug and Clinical Trials Rule 2019. According to them, it has been provided that whenever a foreign manufacturer is applying for a license for a vaccine in India, then a local trial are also be carried into the India. For example, guys, when we talk about the Covishield that is being given, it is being developed by the Serum Institute of India, but under the license of AstraZeneca. Now, AstraZeneca is a foreign manufacturer. So, before the Covishield was administered to the people, the local trials were carried into the India. Now, these local trials, they had a limited participant, around 1,000. So, these local trials are called as the bridge trials, and many a times much of the time is taken into them. Now, it has been provided that without these local trials, directly the fast track approval will be given if they have been given the emergency use authorization by any of the drug regulator or if they are into the WHO's list. Now, guys, even the Chinese vaccines which are into the WHO's list, they can also be imported into the India and can be given to the people. Further, in order to assess the safety, a special condition has been introduced where it has been provided that the foreign manufacturers, they have to assess the first 100 beneficiary for 7 days for the safety outcomes before it is rolled out for further immunization program in India. So, by guys, this is the development that has happened, and it will increase the ambit of vaccines that are available in India. Now, this particular thing will be helpful in many of the ways. Number one, we can import the vaccines and it can enhance the coverage. Secondly, it can also facilitate a framework into the future that an option can be given to the people with respect to choosing the vaccine that they want. Thirdly, the domestic manufacturers, they can tie up with the foreign developers and can make the vaccines into the India also. So, guys, these are all the implications of this particular move. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the monsoon prediction for this particular year. There are some static concepts here which might be important for our examination. First of all, guys, when we talk about the forecast, it has been given made by the Sky Met, which is a private weather forecast company. So, guys, into the context of India, when we talk about the weather prediction, it is done chiefly by the IMD, that is the Indian Meteorological Department. But apart from The private organizations also provide their monsoon models and data. Now, it has been provided that this particular year, the monsoon will be 103% of the long period average, or the LPA. Now, guys, the LPA is of India is the 88 centimeter. That this is the average rainfall that India receives, and this LPA is calculated onto the basis of 50-year mean, or the 50-year average. Now, guys, as this year's prediction is 103% of the LPA, it simply means that just above the 88 centimeter will be the monsoon, and it will supposedly be the normal monsoon, or the healthy normal monsoon. Now, it has also been predicted that the odds of El Nino will be very much less. Now, when we talk about the El Nino is a phenomena which impacts the intensity of the monsoon into the India, and it also impacts the weather in various parts of the world. Now, guys, when we talk about the normal year, a normal year is characterized when the equatorial winds they gather the warm water towards the west around the Australia and this particular region, and by it excessive evaporation is carried, strong vertical currents are carried, and a good rainfall over the region of India and the subcontinent happens. But guys, into the El Nino year, these easterly winds they become very much weakened, and they are not able to consolidate this warm water around this particular region, and as a result, into the El Nino year, around the Peru there is no upwelling of the cold water. There is rain here into this particular region, and our weaker monsoon are seen into the Indian subcontinent. So therefore, this particular year it has been said that the possibility of El Nino will be very much less, so therefore the healthy normal monsoon will be there. So guys, that is all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the way forward for the BIMSTEC, that is the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. Now, guys, when we talk recently, the foreign ministers meet of the BIMSTEC had happened virtually, and the aim of this particular meet was to pave way for the next summit. Now, guys, when we talk about the BIMSTEC, up till now only the four summits have held, and now the fifth summit will be held into the Sri Lanka, Colombo. Now, further, as we talk about the BIMSTEC, guys, BIMSTEC as an organization was founded when the four group of nations, that is the India, Thailand, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, came together through the Bangkok Declaration in 1997, and their aim was to promote rapid economic development and the peace and cooperation into the nearby region. However, later the BIMSTEC was expanded, and the other countries were also included. The Myanmar, Nepal, and the Bhutan were included. So all these are the members right now into the BIMSTEC. Now, guys, into the last 20 years, the pace of the BIMSTEC has not been very much impressive, and the achievements have also been very much modest. And this particular thing can be seen by various of the facts. For example, guys, it has been seen that other multilateral groups such as the G20, ASEAN, the SCO, as well as even the SARC's political level meets had happened into the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. But onto the BIMSTEC, no such high level meet has happened. But guys, everything is not gloomy. Rather, there is a kind of a renewed interest into the BIMSTEC, which also got ignited in 2016, when clearly the India chose the BIMSTEC as a more practical instrument for the regional cooperation rather than the SARC. Moreover, guys, the BIMSTEC's leader retreat also happened, which was followed by the outreach summit with the leaders of the BRICS into the Goa into the 2016. So combining of the BRICS with the BIMSTEC shows that how much important India believes that BIMSTEC is for it. Further, guys, it has also been seen that when the second term of the Modi government began in 2019, the leaders of the BIMSTEC and not the SARC were invited as the honored guests. So it shows that into the Indian foreign policy tool again the BIMSTEC is becoming important. Now, guys, when we talk about the last summit of the BIMSTEC that held in Kathmandu in 2018, there was the ambitious plan which was devised for the institutional reform and renewable for the BIMSTEC, and a shared new goal was taken up, that is a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable Bay of Bengal region. And now, guys, the recent foreign ministers meet that has happened is to be seen into the light that this particular meet is facilitating the way forward onto the goals that were taken up in 2018 into the Kathmandu. Now, what had happened? The foreign ministers had affirmed that particular special interest, as well as the ministers has also conveyed their support for the master plan for the transport connectivity. And this master plan for transport connectivity will be adopted into the next summit that is going to be held into the Sri Lanka. And apart from it, the preparation have also been completed for signing of other agreements also, particularly into the area of mutual legal assistance into the criminal matters, cooperation between diplomatic academies, and the establishment of the technology transfer facility. Now guys, it has been said that these are some of the good things that are going to be there into the next summit, but there are some things which are missing also. For example, there have not been the impressive deliberations in reference to the trade and the economy. And into this particular light, the FICCI had many a times emphasized that even a free trade agreement between the BIMSTEC members is not there. So as soon as possible, the FTA needs to be signed, and this FTA needs to be a comprehensive, and it should cover the trade in goods, service, investment, etc. However, on one arena where the BIMSTEC has done impressive work is into the humanitarian assistance and the disaster relief, as well as into the measures for tackling the terrorism, the cyber terrorism, and all such kind of things. Now it has been said that the time has come that the BIMSTEC needs to be given a kind of a full swing, and it needs to grow to its potential. And the next level summit that is going to take place, there all the members need to come together, and they need to share a shared framework for the regional growth into the BIMSTEC. But for that particular thing, there are certain hurdles which are there, and these hurdles are to be resolved. Now, when we talk about the BIMSTEC's hurdle, the relations between the member countries need to be cordial and tension free. But that is not the case. We can see that, guys, recently into the context of India and Nepal, there was the Kalapani dispute. Then into the India Sri Lanka also, there are the Kacha Tibi Island disputes and all such kind of things. Then into the Bangladesh and Myanmar also, there are some of the tensions which are there. Then, guys, second is that what will be the future of the SARC? There are many of the members which are the participants into the SARC as well as BIMSTEC. So it is needed to be clarified what will be the SARC's future. And then the third problem that comes is the China factor. Now it has been seen that the China is a decisive player into the region, and therefore many a times it has been said that the China is needed to be included into the BIMSTEC if a BIMSTEC is needed to be succeeded. But India will not be agreeing to that particular issue. Then, guys, the next problem comes that now a military coup has happened into the Myanmar, and this thing will also make the matters complicated. So a kind of a solution to all these problems have to be found, and BIMSTEC is needed to be reinvent itself, so a prosperous regional cooperation can be shared. Guys, this is all about this particular article. Please utilize it into the GS paper number 2, India's relation with the neighborhood. So that is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it talks about the carbon neutrality that is being talked about. Now, guys, the carbon neutrality goal is that the countries by 2050 should adopt that their carbon emissions will be neutral. Now, guys, into this particular context, already 3-4 articles we have taken up, and this particular article is just as a continuation of that particular theme only. Here, it has been said that India needs to take up some initiatives also, because into the long term there will be the implications. However, guys, much different and important substance is not there. So if you want as an optional, you can read this particular article. But guys, all the things already have been discussed multiple times. So that is all, and now we'll be taking up the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it will be important for the prelims for environment and ecology. Now, guys, when we talk about the conservation, the India had taken up ambitious Indian Rhino Vision 2020. Now, under the Indian Rhino Vision 2020, it was aimed that by 2020 there needs to be at least 3,000 rhinos into the Assam. Now, what has happened? Two of the rhinos, that is the adult male and a female, has been released into the Assam's Manas National Park, and by that the 3,000 population of rhino in Assam has been achieved, and the deadline of the IRV 2020 has been achieved. However, guys, on one particular thing it missed also. It was provided that beyond the protected areas of Kaziranga National Park, Orang National Park, Pobitora, there needs to be the viable population of rhino into the other areas also. Concentration of rhino into some of the pockets should not be there. So onto that particular thing, this thing has not happened. Now, guys, when we talk about the population of rhino into the Assam had 5 rhino bearing areas till the 1980s, but due to the hunting of the rhinos for their horn and all such kind of things, the population of rhino declined, and now they have been limited into 3 areas, that is the Kaziranga, Orang, and Pobitora. The population of rhino into the Manas as well as Lokova Wildlife Sanctuary nearly declined. And into the Manas, apart from the rhino, also the pygmy hog became nearly extincted, and because of that particular thing, the World Heritage Site tag was also taken up from the Manas, which it received in 1985. And in response, many of the conservation efforts were taken, including the Indian Rhino Vision. And guys, it was also decided under the Indian Rhino Vision that the translocation of the rhino will be done. And by this, into the Manas National Park, again the rhinos got entered, and it again got the World Heritage Site status in 2011. So right now the Manas is a World Heritage Site, but the status was not there for a brief time. Guys, this particular fact can also be very much important. So guys, that is all with respect to the rhinos. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, here we can see a brief development that is happening into the Afghanistan. Guys, you might be knowing that after the 9/11 attack onto the World Trade Center into the USA, the coalition forces were sent into the Afghanistan, whose aim was to make Afghanistan again a kind of a functional country and to reduce the breeding of the terrorism into the Afghanistan. Now guys, nearly 20 years have been completed since the troops have been stationed, and now it has been said that the purpose of them has been completed, and now the American troops are being called back. Right now approximately 2500 to 3000 troops are there. So guys, this withdrawal will be starting from the May, and it has been said that up till the 20th anniversary of the 9/11, all these troops will be withdrawn back. Now, guys, this particular thing had become possible because we had also seen that the peace talks with the Taliban are going into the Afghanistan, and these peace talks, the important role is being played by the Russia as well as America. Now, into these peace talks, it has been said that the Taliban needs to adopt the status quo. They will not be facilitated the violence, and if this particular thing happened, again their accountability will be asked, and they will be hit back. Now, guys, right now the intra-Afghan talks, that is the talks between the government of Afghanistan and Taliban, is going on, and their next round will be hosted Turkey between the 24th April and May 4th. And here guys, the lasting solutions will be tried to found out between the Afghanistan government as well as Taliban. So guys, that is all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. So guys, that is all for today's newspaper analysis. Thank you so much.